All right, so yesterday I covered that story checking in on Florida and how Governor Ron DeSantis is doing in his current handling of the COVID-19 outbreak that has been plaguing Florida. Florida, as I said yesterday, is currently one of the epicenters of the entire world in terms of per capita infection rates. So doing an absolutely horrendous job. And Bill Burr, the comedian, decided to basically on his show where he does a little recap of the politics of the day, decided to come out and basically slam dunk all over Ron DeSantis' face. And so I wanted to show you guys this little clip here because I think it's good to hear the opinions of like outsiders who aren't really that into politics commenting on these things, because I think they have a good way of condensing it and making it presentable to a wider audience. And Bill Burr does a fantastic job of that right here, basically perfectly encapsulating what Ron DeSantis' actual motives are in this. And let's just go ahead and listen to it, and then I'll give you more of my thoughts on it.
I don't want to get into all that politics. DeSantis, whoever this guy is, and they have the most grumpiest looking photo ever. This guy is starting to build his stature in 2024. And he says he disagrees on mask mandates. These kids aren't wearing masks. The amount of people who not only don't even own a microscope or even have a pair of scrubs, you know, unless they went to some Halloween party, who are literally questioning doctors. It's just, at this point, it's just hilarious. What do you know? These fucking piece of shit politicians. He knows that that's what his fan base wants him to do, so that's what the fuck he's going to do. Unbelievable. Barack Obama.
Right. So short little clip there, but honestly, I think he does a better job talking about this than most like people who are really absorbed in politics do, because like he just says there, these fucking piece of shit politicians, right? These motherfuckers are not basing the policy decisions that they are making, like Ron DeSantis with the mask mandates. I talked about this in my video yesterday if you want to go watch a more detailed version of it, but basically he's trying to punish school boards that decide to enforce mask mandates. And reminder that a lot of these kids that are going to go back to school in the fall remain largely unvaccinated. So, and that's not even by choice, that's just, it hasn't been approved for some of these age groups. And so a lot of these kids are going to be going back into school and don't have vaccines. And so you would think the bare minimum that you could do as the leader of the state is require masks to be worn in these schools, not only by teachers, but also by students, to protect everybody and prevent, you know, as many children from being put into the ICUs and potentially dying as possible. You would think that would be a universally held belief or priority for people to protect the lives of children, but apparently not, even from the supposed pro-life Republican Party leaders like Ron DeSantis. And so I think what Bill Burr said there is perfectly accurate, because Ron DeSantis is not making these decisions on behalf of his constituents. He's not making these decisions based on the science. He's making these decisions as a pure political calculation. And there's a reason why Ron DeSantis has risen up the ranks in the Republican Party as basically this Trump's successor, if you want, or the number two to Trump right now in terms of who has the most control in dominating the narrative in the Republican Party. Ron DeSantis is right up there on the heels of Donald Trump. And there's a reason for that. And that is because he has basically been copying a lot of the strategies that Donald Trump would be deploying in a similar situation. And that is feeding into the most insane, batshit crazy right-wing factions of your party. And reminder, the anti-vax, the anti-mask mandate crowd represents a tiny minority. I mean, it's something like around 30 to 35% of the country that would back Ron DeSantis up in these types of decisions. And yet he is focusing in on that tiny, tiny minority at the expense of everybody else, because he knows that that's who's going to bring in the big fundraising dollars for him. That's who's going to be motivated to show up to the polls eventually and put him in the position of whatever power he wants to head, whether it's to the presidency in 2024, as Bill Burr was just pointing out there, or to continue as the governor of Florida. His priority in making these decisions is purely political. It has nothing to do with COVID, the science, the data, or the health of the children in the state of Florida in any way, shape, or form. It's just pure calculated politics. And so again, I think Bill Burr does a good job of just summarizing that entire situation in a really simple way that outsiders can understand. And that is, you piece of shit, calculated politicians are making these decisions based on your own personal career ambitions instead of on public health, and instead of on the most basic rudimentary things like wearing a mask that we have known for the entirety of the pandemic.